Greetings, fellow makers! We are live from the shop today, and Brittany and I are doing something kind of fun. This video here is my take on building a Harry Potter style wand. Brittany's making her own, and she'll have her own video up. You can see that, boop, right up there. So you can kind of compare how I make mine and how Brittany makes hers. For mine, I'm making it out of wood! I went to the wood store. There's a Rockler nearby. I went and grabbed some scrap wood. I don't know a lot about different types of wood. This is maple, though. I do know this will work out pretty well on the lathe. And then this is something, it says it's got the word Claro on it. So whatever that is, that's what I'm using to make my wand. I'm thinking handle and pokey wand bit. And this is all going to be done on the lathe. So I've done a little bit of prep work. I got some holes drilled in the centers here to stick this on the lathe. And then I'm going to turn a nice handle, add some detail to it. And then I kind of want like some metallic flair. So I got some tubes. This tube was from the hobby store. This is a thinner brass tube that I can cut into a little ring-a-ling thing to like go on the cap sort of thingy there. I've got a little tube cutting tool to do that. But I've also got some copper. I don't quite know which one I like the best, so we'll tinker a bit. I'll measure these to make sure that I turn the piece on the lathe so it's the right size, and it should all come together. We'll see. Who knows? But I'm about ready to go make a whole bunch of sawdust. I hope you guys enjoy it. So I've taken my piece of maple for the handle. Oh, you can see where I screwed that up big time earlier. It's a cylinder now. I can start shaping it. I've drawn my very rough template for the piece there, but I could start by bringing it down to the major width here, that there. I got my calipers, and if I just measure, it's about 34 millimeters. That's the width I need to bring this to, and that's already pretty close. So I'll get most of this down to that width, and then I'll mark out where I need to bring everything else down. Alright, I've got everything down to the dimension I want. I think I'm going to make a note on this, right, left, so that I'm consistent. There's a little ding right there, and I can't really bring that down too far. So I'm going to shift this over, kind of like that. So I'll get rid of that, and then I can kind of mark out my next target. That on the lathe. What's cool is I can turn this on. Whoop, and draw a line with the pen like that. Draw a line with the pen like that. And there we go. Now I'll carve down this shape here. Just like that. Looking pretty good. Okay, so these end parts here are going to get this brass tube on them, and to get them to fit on there, I'm going to measure the inner diameter of the tube here. Just about 15.75 millimeters. Tighten that down, and now I do need to get these end parts. I do need to get these end parts here down to this diameter. So I'll turn them down to that, and then I'll be confident that these little end tube bits will fit right on there. Just like that. You know what? I think that's close enough. I'll finish it with sanding and it should be good to go. Just gotta get the other side. Okay, both the end pieces here are to the correct diameter. Like that, and like that. So that these tubes will fit on there. Now these like decorative round parts here, I'm just gonna shape them to something that looks pretty. Alright, the last little detail here is going to be a bunch of grooves down the length of this. So I've got my pattern here, and I will just draw a bunch of lines. Hopefully they will be nice and evenly spaced. There we go. Got my lines. Got my nice lines on there. And then I've got this tiny little tool that I'll use to carve some grooves in. There we go. Not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but that's pretty good. Now we're ready to sand this up and make it look all pretty. To get this finished up, I've got some 220 grit sandpaper, and at the super low setting, I'm just gonna sand it. It's one of the things I love about a lathe is it makes sanding really easy. There we go. I'm going to seal it with super glue, believe it or not, just some super glue. This will create a nice hard shell on the outside that I can then sand smooth again, and it should be awesome. I'm calling this pretty good. Again, I think I could spend hours finishing this thing, but I'm gonna call it good. I'm gonna liberate it with this coping saw and move on to the next piece. And that's our wand handle, and it feels good. So for the ends of my handle here, I want to add a bit of brass tube around it like that. It's pretty close. I got it close when I was turning it, but not quite. So I'm just gonna kind of sand this by hand, finesse it until it is the right diameter, and that tube will fit right on there. So there's my tube stock. Pretty close. I'll just keep sanding that until it fits. For the tube, to cut it, I've got one here already cut, but then I need another one right there, and I have a tube cutter. This is a tiny little tool with one job, cutting tubes. I just place, open it up a bit, place the tube in, and then close it down. Let's see here. Close the jaws of this thing down. Until it's at the sort of length that I want. And then it's nice and snug, and then I can rotate this thing around. Tighten it, rotate it around. Tighten it some more. Just keep going until I've got a nice ring of brass. Well, that didn't work as well as I had hoped. I think that this is kind of a bit of a thin ring for this. So I might give it another try. But then again, it might just fit if I mash it over there. We'll see how it goes. Giving this a try on the copper tube. It's a little bit thicker, a little more robust. This was just from the plumbing section at the hardware store. See what we can do here. There we go. Look at that. Perfect little copper ring. And that can go over the end there. It's very close. Super glue ought to do the trick. I'm just going to put a little super glue on this guy. Like that. Take my little copper ring and commit. Oh, get on there. Not perfect, but okay. That'll do right there. To do the last bit of like shine on that copper, I have some steel wool, and I can just run this around like that. And it puts a nice brushed metal look on that copper. That looks really cool. Ooh, oh, that's nice. That's nice. I've actually got a tiny copper nail on hand, so I'm just going to drive that in there. That should cover that up a little bit. So, tiny bit of super glue. Like that. Put a nail in there and give it a whack. There. Now there's a little... Now we've got a nice little copper accent on the end there. I think that looks pretty cool. So that is the handle, just about done there. I put copper on either side. I will drill out a spot for the poking part. And that's what this is gonna be. So I got this chucked up in the lathe, and we will get to cracking. So this will be the length of the wand, and I'm just gonna try and make a tapered, long cylinder, as long as possible, that'll fit in this. That's the goal. Just kind of freeform winging it. Whee! This is in the tailstock here, just extra stuff I'm going to cut off. Now this ugly looking end here can be finished up on the belt sander. For assembly, I need this to go into there, so I need to drill a hole in that guy. To get it started, I have a center finder tool here, like that. So I'm holding the center finder against the circle, draw a line, turn it a little bit. There's my circle. There's my center. So that's a little ugly, but we're getting there. Yeah, it looks kind of all right. All right, it's time to assemble this thing, put it all together. Now, every Harry Potter wand has a core of some kind. And I have a core of EVA foam because that seemed appropriate. So I drilled a hole out. That's going to go in there as far as it will. Just sort of trim off the extra. Like that. There's my EVA foam core. And then that will lock in. I'll just glue all that together. And that will be my Harry Potter wand. Super glue everything. And spray the end of that, and together we go. There it is. Ta-da! There's my wand, my wooden wand. This was really fun. I haven't done a lot of like woodworking. Actually, my woodworking lathe has mostly been used for foam and plastic. So it was kind of cool to take some nice hardwoods and turn them into something really kind of neat. This kind of pushed me a little bit. The thin part here is actually quite tricky to get a long tapered piece turned on a lathe is a bit tricky. So I think I might try and do something like that again. Overall, though, I'm pretty stoked with how it turned out and very excited to cast spells with it. Of course, Brittany made her wand. We have a video for that as well that you can go check out, see how she did hers. You should go do that. Other than that, thanks for hanging out with us today. If you want to catch us live in the shop when we do these from the shop type videos, head on over to twitch.tv/punishedprops. Give us a follow over there. Of course, if you're new to the YouTube channel, then expecto subscribo. I apologize. I apologize. Please subscribe. We'll see y'all in the next build.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe so you don't miss any of our new weekly prop and costume tutorial videos. For more goodies, head over to our website where you'll find blueprints, tutorial books, articles, and more. We also have a second channel for our Q&A show and extra behind the scenes videos. Thanks again and happy crafting.